This week, we do our annual pit stop in Bloomington, Indiana. New beginnings for the IU football programs. Men's and women's hoops is in full swing. We talk about campus life and facility upgrades. Enjoy this episode with Hoosier for Life, Scott Dolson.
DK, as always, this episode of One Star Recruits is brought to you by the best sports t-shirt website out there. It's 500level.com. They have Indiana Hoosier State t-shirts available for $26.99. They have Eric Gordon t-shirts, a Hoosier basketball great, now a Phoenix Sun. Check it out, 500level.com. 20% off everything on the site with the discount code podcast at checkout, 500level.com. Let's go.
This is Scott Dolson, and I'm on with the One Star Recruits. And as I always say, go IU.
Yo, aloha. Welcome to the One Star Recruits podcast. So nice to be back in Indiana. As One Stars know, we try to go to every state. We try to move around the One Star Recruits. Part of our plan with this podcast is to gather 5-star humans from all over. And we love every year going to Indiana. We've had some wonderful people on this show from Indiana. Calbert Cheney, Rip. Who else have we had from Indiana? So we've had a wonderful list.
Keith Smart, Steve Alford, pretty much a lot of the basketball greats from Bloomington.
It's nice to touch base. It's always the most friendly interview. The Midwest is so wonderful to come talk about hoops, football, what's going on in Bloomington. We're really happy to be back. The Battle of Indiana in men's basketball is upon us this week, so it's a great time to be here. Number 2 comes to Assembly Hall as we're recording today. It's a huge game. It's the official passing of the torch for what could be the blue bloods of the state of Indiana. What's really been held by the Hoosiers for so long has kind of been taken a little bit by Purdue. We get to battle for that torch again, which is always exciting. It's going to be a loud one for Big Zach Edey coming into Bloomington.
Yeah, it's funny too, DK, we all know how much the world of college athletics is what have you done for me lately. And Mike Woodson, let's be honest, he's been kind of polarizing the past few years as Indiana head coach because there's high expectations in Bloomington. But Scott Dolson, as you'll hear in this interview, he's a big backer of Woody. And these are the kind of games, DK, that if you can win this game, upsetting the number 2 team in the country, if he can win this game, Hoosier fans will be all behind him 100%.
They will be pumped up. And good news for anybody watching in a bar across the state of Indiana, in Bloomington in particular. Why, Rip? Bloomington bars must now turn on their closed captioning under a new law. The first time ever for this law, closed captioning law, which made a lot of sense for me. I'm 42. Guess who watches 80% of my sports and television with closed captioning on? Guess who watches a lot of my Netflix shows with closed captioning on? So from a 42-year-old man, I salute you, Bloomington lawmakers.
Wow, Bloomington bars on the up and up. Yeah, the lawmakers. I mean, especially if you're in a crowded bar that doesn't have great sound or any sound coming from the TVs, a one-star sound system, if you will. That's huge, man.
Not just for the hearing impaired, bro. It's for also crowded, noisy bars, and we just want to catch what's going on. All right. We're getting older here in life. We gotta be in the damn know. So shout out to Bloomington. I know Assembly is gonna be popping. We say it every damn year, but we got to put it on the list of a get-to spot. It's like Madison Square Garden. It's like going to kind of Dodger Stadium. It's one of these that has to be hit in the lifetime. So I'm going to say it again to manifest. I'm a manifester. I've manifested some damn things, Rip. This is going in the real manifesting bank for 2024 for me because I'm sick of talking about it.
I don't know how much more we need. I mean, Scott Dolson pretty much invited us to have lunch at Buffalo's in this interview. I mean, he didn't say it in so many words, but that's what it felt like to me. I mean, buy our tickets to Bloomington now at this point.
God, I will get half honey barbecue, half mild, 1 ranch, 1 blue cheese. I'm already fully prepared and on board. I miss wings so much. Very limited great wing options in the state of Hawaii. Rip, now that you're bringing up Buffalo's, classic, one of the best.
How many wings could you eat at one time? You sound like you're really fiending for wings right now. What's the over under on let's say 35?
No chance. Things have changed in my life. I think eating wise, I could do. It depends on the wing size, but if I did all flats, I could eat 24. That's where I'm maxing out on wings. If I had a gun in my head, I could probably do 35. Though, actually, come to think of it. Yeah, I could easily eat 35, especially Buffalo's. It's great wings, great food in the whole state of Indiana. Might have to get to Michigan City, where Scott's talking about the best burger of all time. Rip, what's the name of the spot?
Swing belly, man. Yeah, we need a road trip, but we need to crisscross the entire state at this point.
We'll get there, Indiana. I promise. Good stuff on this interview. I noticed probably for the state of Indiana, basketball's at all-time high. A basketball craze state for sure. Dude, did you see that they put a basketball court inside the Indianapolis International Airport?
I saw the pictures. It looks amazing. It feels like one of those things because you can't actually play on it, right? It feels like one of those things that's just like a social media op. So you're walking through the airport, you hashtag Indy All Star 2024 or whatever. It's a good idea, but I'd like to get out there and go 1 for 10 on elbow jumpers. I don't know about you.
Yeah, launch some threes from there. Good. What do they call that in marketing? It's just as an activation. Nice activation. Get a picture, tag All-Star game. Always fun to get your feet on the hardwood. I mean, I always love that. It's very rare to sit and watch a game on hardwood with the floor seats, unless you pull up to a local high school game or your kids' game or whatever. So just getting your feet on real hardwood is always a cool experience. I think basketball courts are coming back. I'm seeing more people install basketball courts in big offices. I think it's something that you could go do in your break time and go shoot some hoops. I think basketball is having a resurgence all in all in this country as far as being a sport that we can play. I'm disappointed I don't play anymore. I'm about 5 years out of a men's league that I loved. Maybe I got to get back into it. I don't even know if I could run full court right now, man.
The last we saw of you was on our Chris Paul elbow mid-range challenge. I believe you went. It could have possibly been 0 for 10 on those elbow jumpers. I think I made 2. You made 0. We're 1 stars. Everybody knows it. But yeah, man, the more effort you put into it, DK, the better you'll get. I don't need to be a fortune teller to give you that advice.
No, you don't need to. You don't need to be. Stick with the team manager. Scott was a team manager for Indiana. That's how he got his start with the Hoosiers. I was a team manager at one point in time. I was a team manager of the JV tennis and golf team at Wayland Academy in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Guess what? Didn't make it. Got replaced. Only lasted 2 weeks. Got replaced by a better manager because I messed up on travel schedule. One mess up and they kicked me out. I know how difficult of a job that is. This guy's a legend, Rip. This guy really loves Bloomington. He's been there through all of it. I talked about being a manager. He climbed all the ranks, right?
Climbed everything, worked for the Knight family, Indiana native. I don't think he's ever lived out of the state, which is amazing. And even this initial story about him trying out for the movie Hoosiers is worth a listen.
Basketball Craze 5-star interview here with Scott. 1-star audio from Rip. He hasn't done it in a while, listeners, but Rip messed up his audio and we had to record off the backup Zoom, so the audio is a little messed up. However, wonderful interview. Enjoy with AD Scott Dolson. Now joining the 1-Star Recruits podcast, we have a husband, a father, a native of Michigan City, Indiana, the current vice president and athletic director at Indiana University, a Hoosier for life who would never willingly enter his name into the transfer portal. Scott Dolson is on with the 1-Star Recruits. Thanks for hopping on with the 1-Star, Scott.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We're excited to have you on and talk all things Hoosiers. I'm curious for someone like yourself who was born and raised in Indiana, like I said, Hoosier for life. How many times have you seen the movie Hoosiers, and when was the last time you watched it? I mean, I hate to use a gambling term with an athletic director, but DK set the over-under at 42.5 times.
I bet you that's close. I bet you I've watched it at least, and it has to be over 30. But I'll tell you something a little even better. I want to say maybe a sophomore in college when Hoosiers was filmed, and a bunch of buddies and myself, we drove up to they had tryouts where you could be cast in the movie. So I kid Angelo Pizzo, who obviously wrote the movie Hoosiers, who's an IU grad, Bloomington lifelong resident. He's a great friend. He's still around. And I tease him all the time because I got cut. I waited in line all morning. He went and did a casting call, tried out, and I did make it. So I always tell him that, Angela, I could have been famous. You cut me from the movie. But yeah, Hoosiers is just, I can't turn it off. Whenever I'm flipping around, it comes on, I watch it.
It was your big break. What was the tryout audition for? Was it just somebody in the crowd, or was it for a particular role?
It would have been either on the Hickory team So there were the people who were on the Hickory team, other than I think Jimmy Chitwood, who was the star. I think the other players were all part of this audition, and then the players on the other team. So it was really a little bit of a basketball tryout type deal. And, fortunately I didn't make it. But yeah, the actual team itself came out of that audition that day. And the line was so long, there were hundreds of people, guys trying to try out to be a player on the team.
Amazing. I bet. What a great thing. I would put that on my LinkedIn page if I just happened to be there that day.
Exactly.
What wasn't there at that time was the transfer portal, man. And I think it's gone, at least mine has gone above my wildest expectations of kind of the movement and how this thing works. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I think it's over 2,000 players just in football put their name in the portal since the regular season. Michael Penix Jr., we got to talk about him. He played 4 years as a Hoosier. We loved watching him there. Went to the portal, had incredible success at Washington. What was it for you, Scott, watching the Huskies in the title game and Michael Penix in particular?
Well, it was even bigger than Michael Penix. Well, number one, Michael Penix is a great young man, and we really loved having him a part of our program. And he created lots of great memories. We'll never forget the first game of the pandemic against Penn State. I've got that picture still in my office when he scored the touchdown to win the game. Actually, the extra point. But really, that was just so interesting because on both Michigan and Washington, there were lots of Hoosiers connections. We have 2 former players that played on Michigan, former coach Mike Hart, who was a great part of our staff here, and then certainly with Kalen DeBoer and Nick Sheridan and Michael Penix, and then Bill Inge, the defense coordinator for Washington. So it was really interesting to watch that and to cheer for those guys. All great people. Really made contributions to us here, but obviously moved on to different things. And you root for guys that you know. And it was really exciting to kind of watch that, knowing on both sides we had friends that were part of our Hoosier family.
Yeah, you framed that beautifully. That's kind of where I was getting at too. The foundation was set, and kind of like the portal, things movement happens for whatever reasons. Spring's right around the corner. Football's coming up again. When Tom Allen was let go, we talked about a loss of momentum a little bit. Now we have a new head coach. Mm-hmm. It's time to recalibrate a little bit to kind of keep everybody there, to keep the portal moving. Something that you've done throughout your career is facilities upgrades and really focused on having the best of the best for your student athletes. What are 2 main investments you'd like to see made in the football program from a facility standpoint?
Well, I'll say this to start with, that everything we do, and I give my predecessor a ton of credit. I was his deputy AD, Fred Glass, who really over his tenure here just really transformed our facilities to a whole nother level, which was really important. But for us, I think it's always been about people. And I say that I meet with as many recruits as I can. I love meeting with recruits. And for me, I always say to recruits, there are lots of bells and whistles. And I think in terms of resources to provide our student athletes, I think we've got them, and I'm real proud of them. But what I'm most proud of is the people that we have around. And so back to what you said in making the change in football, the thing that I think I'm most proud of right now is the team that Coach Signetti is Coach Sig has assembled. And obviously we really knew from the start, as I said in the press conference, felt like he was a really good fit for us in what he's done, and surrounding him with his staff, his coaches, his support staff has been really, really good. In fact, I just saw our new director of football strength and conditioning in the hallway as I was walking back in my office for this podcast, and just had a quick 5-minute conversation with him just on how the transition's gone with the current players who are returning, all the new transfers who's come in, and just integrating that, and how the first week of the spring semester, it's gone really well already just in the second day of workouts. And so the people is what it's all about. From a facility standpoint, I think our next big thing for us in football is to really have a comprehensive master plan to make sure we can modernize the stadium from a fan experience standpoint. And, I'm really proud to be a part of the Big Ten Conference. Big Ten is so strong, so tight. And I want to make certain that we can continue to modernize our stadium so we can compete like we need to at the Big Ten level, particularly now that we have 17 teams or 17 new teams, obviously making an 18-team conference. I think it's a big deal for us in terms of modernizing our football stadium.
It's only going to help, And the question that keeps coming up with listeners for us, and when we talk to Indiana fans, is can IU compete with the Ohio States and Michigans of the world, both nil in revenue, but also overall experience. I think you have the pedigree. Gosh, the story, Scott, of Indiana is electric. It's one of the best to sit in a parent's and a student athlete's house or in a meeting and tell that. I really think things are exciting. I think with basketball and Mike Woodson, it's going such in the right direction. The amount of pros that we're seeing from Indiana is on the up and up, and that building is always rocking. Tell me something that you're most excited about for the basketball program this season.
You mentioned it. I think the player development, there's so many things behind the scenes that I have an opportunity to see that others just wouldn't, just because of the access or the ability for me to be behind the scenes. And I really like to really be around behind the scenes, so I get a feel for what's going on. And although we had a tough loss last night, as we sit and talk on this podcast, I can just tell you behind the scenes, I just love the player development. I love the staff. I love, we added Calvert Chaney this offseason, and just even what he's brought. And, you look at Trace Jackson Davis, who's he's probably my favorite stories, as I've watched so many student athletes here over the years. But Trace, and I've said this publicly, and I've said it to him a million times, when we made the move and I decided to make a change and move on from Archie Miller, who I really liked, and we were close, but it was time to make a change, I felt there. And Trace could have left and had opportunities big time, but he wanted to stay and be a part of changing the trajectory of Indiana basketball. And just to see his progression, you see what he's doing right now with the Golden State Warriors. I was texting with his dad, I think Monday, and it was just a great exchange, because he and I have talked a ton, and just to see what Woody did in developing Trace, but then also to see that Trace really stuck with us when he could have left or could have really tried to maximize his value. He did really well here in all ways, but I think his story is one that I'm most proud of within basketball. And the way that Woody behind the scenes really develops the players has been really fun to watch.
The way he fits in the NBA is straight out of Woody's book, and it's an excellent place for the Golden State Warriors. We just learned recently Dale Davis is his father, which is so cool, so amazing. We're in year 3 of the Woody era as head coach, and sometimes college basketball moves pretty quickly. I think Woody's in his 60s, mid 60s. Do you consider it part of your job description to start thinking of a succession plan, or are we rolling? Are we rolling until the wheels fall off?
Yeah, we're rolling. I don't, I think that's back in the older days of ADs. There was always that every good AD had to have a note card, and in their pocket they knew here's 5 potential football coaches or 5 potential basketball coaches. I just don't think that's the case anymore. I think you always have a vision for your program, or all your programs. We put together what we call championship plans, and this is what we need to do to succeed in every way, in our recruiting, our player development, our style of play, how we build character. We do that for all of our programs, and we continue to do that. We continue, and I work closely with Woody on certainly achieving all of our goals. But I don't really think about, I think with access to information, with search firms and everything, anytime changes happen in any program, I think you can move pretty quickly. In our football example, in fact, I just was with Coach Sig yesterday. We went to a luncheon, and we were talking in the car on the way over there, and he said, man, you played Purdue on Saturday and made a change Sunday morning, and I was in place and already had my staff trying to gather on Thursday morning. You must have really, but you just move fast, and we've got a system that we put together that we understand how to make a change like that. So anyway, the answer to the question is a long answer is not, I'm not really thinking about what's next. I'm trying to make certain I support Woody and our program to get to our goals that we want for right now.
But by the way, we talk about coaching trees a lot on this podcast, and a guy you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Calvert Chaney, we had on last year, and I think that's part of the succession plan, is having those assistants in place. And sometimes, when the time comes, you can promote from within. So just a shout out to Calvert, great Hoosier and a great coach down there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Calvert's number one, he's just a great person. And that's one of the things, again, back to what we were talking about earlier. I honestly think whether we're hiring a videographer in our Cuban Center for Sports Media and Technology, or whether it's a football coach, you have to hire good people. And Calvert's certainly one of those. And I love having former players. We've got Calvert Chaney, we've got Jordan Hulls, Randy Whitman's a consultant for us. And I credit Woody for really bringing kind of that continuity back to understand the history of Indiana basketball and how we do things here, and mixed in with the other staff that he's brought in. I really feel comfortable with our basketball staff big time.
Just to close it out, Scott, we end every interview with a segment we call 1 star to 5 star. DK mentioned we're 1 stars. We're trying to get better with advice and tips, though, from every guest we have on this podcast, like yourself. So just a few questions to close it out, and they'll run the gamut on a 1 to 5 star scale, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. You grew up in Michigan City, like we mentioned, which is right on Lake Michigan, about an hour from Chicago. We love food on this podcast, so we're always up for hearing about great eating spots all around the country. What's the 5 star lunch in Michigan City? Is it a Reuben at the Ritz Club, a Swing Belly burger, or something else? What the best food spot from Scott Dolson's childhood?
Okay, definitely. What my favorite place to go for lunch would be Swing Bellies. Swing Bellies is something that's been kind of close to the lake. It's moved the location around a little bit. They've got great burgers. They're awesome. But I do have to give a quick shout out to, because I'm a big pizza person, Albano's Pizza in Michigan City. Maybe I've been all over the country, traveled with our sports teams and everything. Albano's Pizza. If you're ever in Michigan City, you need to get an Albano's Pizza, and you'll thank me later. It's
what style is it? Is it Detroit style? Is it Michigan style?
It would be. It's not Chicago style. It'd be more like just thin crust, lots of cheese, and just it's amazing. It's really good.
Those are the kind of gems we're looking for here on 1 Star Recruit, Scott.
That's awesome.
Moving on, one of the main objectives at IU has been to support female student athletes and women's athletics as a whole. It's fundraising, it's facilities enhancements, it's the game day experience you talked about a little bit, and it seems to be working right now. So let's say on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, in all your years in Bloomington, did you ever think you'd see sellouts and reserve seating for women's basketball?
That's such a great point, and it is such a huge point of emphasis for us. And the answer is, I really probably wouldn't have thought that. I dreamed it and thought, man, wouldn't it be awesome? But it's really been incredible. And to see what Coach Morin has done, to see and many people might not realize this, but when Cindy Simon Scott made the gift to renovate, which was then Assembly Hall, which became Simon Scott Assembly Hall, she really inspired our women's program, inspired Coach Morin, and there was a real, I think, sort of wind that was created behind women's basketball's back. And then when Cook Hall was created as well, where our practice facility, and Bill and Gail Cook, who made the gift for that, it was really about making certain that our women's program could be equal with our men's. And so it's been awesome, and we've got a game tonight, and we have to have reserve parking, and it's just like the men's games. And so it's what we've always dreamed of, but sometimes it is surreal when I'm at games and I think, wow, I remember the days where you could talk to someone across the court from you at a women's game, and now it feels just like the men's game atmosphere. And so just love our women, love watching them play, and so proud of where the program is, and want to keep it growing. And we're trying to do that for all of our women's programs, and actually women's basketball has helped volleyball, has helped softball, women's soccer grow as well.
The whole Midwest, Scott, is the volleyball thing that's taken over the country.
Yeah.
It is so amazing to see the Midwest lead the charge of women's volleyball and those buildings pumping like that, man. I think it's the way of the future. I'm really excited about it.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, I had our annual evaluation with our head volleyball coach just about 2 hours ago, and we talked about just continuing to build. We've had 2 really good, successful seasons, and we're trying to grow that. And the way the Big Ten is going to be so strong, with 18 really strong volleyball programs. So we're excited about the future for sure.
Things are looking up, and you, this is well chronicled. You were a student manager for the basketball team, the men's basketball team, for 4 years in the 1980s. The more I read about your story and others who have had that similar role somewhere along their journey, I'm a little in awe about how valuable of an experience it can be as a student manager. On the flip side, we're the 1-star recruits, so we want to hear about the bad stuff too. What's a 1-star thing that you had experienced about being a student basketball manager? Maybe something so memorable that you'd like to forget it, like doing laundry, anything like that. Just the 1-star thing about that job. We know it's a great job, but what was the bad part about it?
The only bad part, that there wasn't any job or anything. The managers here at IU, and I can't speak to them at other schools, but there's such a tradition, and there was so many incredible positives. I would not have this opportunity today for sure if I had not learned so much under Coach Knight in the basketball program. And my best friends in my life really were, as being a part of the team, to be honest with you. And the tough thing is that when you lose, and this is part of being close in the program, there were tough days just because you're in the grind. And I learned a lot about winning. And there's so many things that I implement today in leading our department because I learned them when I was a manager. I learned how to make certain that you don't get too high or too low, that you stick to your plan. And Coach Knight just had this system that I was able to be a part of, and certainly in a very, very small way. And I always tell people, we won the national championship in 1987. If I hadn't been the manager, if I hadn't been a manager, it wasn't like, that my role was that significant. But you feel a part of it, and I was able to observe. And so those observations that I made over my 4 years, and then subsequently working for Coach Knight's oldest son, Tim, and watching how he ran Coach Knight's businesses, I didn't know at the time, but it totally prepared me to be the athletic director here today, along with those experiences and after that. So it's just all good. It was just really, I'm just so grateful that I had that opportunity and could never really ever pay back all that I really received.
The hard work that goes into that. And a lot of times, 99% of the time it's unseen. It's a great role. And I'd recommend it to anyone. Last but not least, a quick segment I just made up. It's called Marriage Advice from an Athletic Director. Both DK and I here and our wives are celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversaries this year, both of us.
Awesome.
You've been married much longer than that. You have 5 grown children. What's the 5-star marriage advice for us for, let's say, year 11 and beyond?
That's an awesome question. Congratulations on the 10 years. What, for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way, and I feel so fortunate because my wife Heidi, she loves athletics. She went to IU. I'm very fortunate that she certainly is as big a supporter and into the success for our student athletes as I am. But my advice for you is that, and I have to tell myself this still probably every day, you've got to compartmentalize, and you've got to certainly put, although your jobs and my job, and at times it's kind of all consuming, and you can bring it home with you, and particularly with cell phones and just technology today, you never disconnect. And I'm terrible at it, to be honest with you, because I'm kind of a high energy. I have a lot of, but for me, for a great marriage, and to try to make certain that you can communicate, and I've got to make certain that at times that times you probably do this. You think you could have a conversation with your wife while you're also looking at messages that are coming your way, and I've tried to balance that, and it's not fair. And so I work really hard at trying to make certain I can detach and spend some time away. It's good for me. It's good for her. It's good for our marriage. It's good for everybody. But it's easy to say. It's hard to do because there's so much going on these days that it's hard to totally detach. So try to detach, and even if it's just for an hour, or if it's over dinner, just spend that time where you're totally focused and not thinking about other things. That's the best advice I could give you.
It's great advice, and I'd actually like to compliment you because I think you're doing a good job. You're on Twitter, but you've never tweeted. There's 0 tweets from Scott Dolson's account, so you definitely are disconnecting from technology a little bit. So I
am. Yeah, that's I've just never been interested in tweeting. Although we've had our social media folks at times have said, "Hey, it'd be good if maybe you did a few things," but I certainly follow it and look at it, and you can learn a lot, and it can be entertaining. But I've tried to, with my private life, tried to make certain that I can detach the best I can and just kind of not. I always laugh because I thought if we're doing something even as a family, and if I tweeted out hey, we're at on a trip, a vacation, doing something, and I just don't know if anybody's really that interested in what I'm doing. So it's kind of funny. I just really have never been interested in doing that. But I respect people who do, and I enjoy it to watch it, but I just haven't participated in it.
People won't find you tweeting, but they can find you in Bloomington, where you've been for the last 40 years. DK and I both have a huge place in our hearts for the Hoosiers and for the city of Bloomington. You have one of the toughest jobs when it comes to trying to please everyone, but I think IU has a really grounded and down-to-earth guy who I know you bleed cream and crimson. So we wish you the best of luck, and thank you again for coming on with the One-Star Recruit, Scott.
Well, I can't thank you enough for having me, and you guys are class acts and do a great job, and wish you nothing but the best. And if you get back to Bloomington, you get this way, let me know. I'd love to say hello in person, and thanks for all you do to help kind of get people's stories out there and to help promote all that's good in college sports. We appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. By the way, Warriors come to play the Pacers February 8th. Maybe we can get some Indiana alumni out there to support our guy.
Hey, that'd be awesome. I'm sure they will, for sure.
There you go. Thank you.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you, man. Best of luck.
Thank you. Take care. If you guys need anything, let me know.
DK, thanks again to IU AD Scott Dolson, Hoosier for life. It's good to have guests back on. And I don't know about you, but did he remind you a little bit of Steve Alford, who's now the Nevada coach? Obviously, Hoosier great. He's got that kind of feathered hairstyle going, like Steve still rocks in Nevada today. But it seems like just a genuine, wholesome guy, Scott Dolson.
Yeah, he's got that look. Maybe it's in the water. Smooth operators from Indiana who love their city, love their sport, love what's going on at their school. It's always nice to get an update. I'm excited about some of the upgrades that are going to happen that we discussed. More importantly, bro, I think it's going to be this football program. We'll see. Instead of being a feeder program like it's been in the last couple of years, taking some more initiative and keeping some guys there to actually make some noise in the Indiana football program. That's what's next. We're going to move from a basketball school to maybe a football school in this next chapter. Time will tell. We shall see. Speaking of football, great wild card super weekend. Good call, Rip, on the Bucks. You called that. That was kind of the Sharps were leaning that way a little bit, but you called it early last week. Amazing call on the Cowboys. You saw that, and not a lot of people saw it. I actually used your same information on other podcasts to give my prediction of that game. So other people think that I'm a genius, but that was all you, bro. Let's start with the Cowboys game. Did it play out exactly how you saw?
It didn't. I think if you play back the tape, I thought it would be a lot closer. I mean, I thought it may be a game-winning field goal at the end, but for them to just come out and dominate Dallas like that, pretty amazing. And yeah, I think some heads should be gone in Dallas down there. Maybe even Dak, who knows? But yeah, total realignment going down there. The thing I think I was looking at, the final 8 we're down to next weekend. It seems to me like the 49ers have a super easy path to the Super Bowl. To correct me if I'm wrong, but Packers going in there, I mean, it's a 10-point spread. I don't see much of a challenge coming. And then they get the winner of Tampa Lions. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely the path is easiest. I always like the hot team who's on a roll, who's kind of has the right energy, the right flow. For me, it's the Detroit Lions. Biggest challenge for them was coming out of this first game and just getting that confidence and that swag level to go to the next level. We'll see. Big monkey off their back in Detroit getting that first playoff win, and it's fun. I like Detroit. I think Detroit's going to surprise a lot of people, including the Niners, but on paper, the way it looks, the talent on both teams, the Niners have a pretty easy streak. I'm excited about what I saw down in Tampa Bay with Baker. It's another one that you called, Rip. I mean, this is a little bit more obvious. We watched the Philadelphia Eagles flounder, not even the right word, flounder the last really 7 weeks, I think, of showing us who they were. I had this weird feeling in the back of my head that the Eagles might show up. Maybe they were just playing a little game. They didn't want to put things on tape coming into the playoffs because they've been here before. I mean, Nick Sirianni was a wonder boy last year and years before. Now, maybe his team's turned on him a little bit. All these Georgia guys don't like him. We're talking Mike Vrabel coming to take that job away. Things in Philly just got out of hand really quickly. I'm not sure fully what happened, but what I can tell you is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of nowhere look like this real team as well with some momentum. And this guy, Baker Mayfield, which you also saw last week, is taking over a leadership role that we weren't sure if he was capable of. Guess what? He is. Guess what? When Mike Evans is double teamed, when Chris Godwin is double teamed, he's making the right check down to Rashad, or he's finding one of these receivers we've never heard of to make a play and making a really, really tough throw. Baker's doing it all, and he seems really patient and relaxed. Is this what you saw coming, Rip? You're a prediction expert. You saw this coming. Did you believe in Baker?
I did not. I'm not going to act like I did. I mean, he was one of those unlikable guys the first few years in Cleveland, seemed kind of cocky, but now I kind of feel myself pulling for him down in Tampa. And that atmosphere at Raymond James was electric, DK. We've been to that stadium before when they got the pirate ship going with the fireworks. I mean, the pure home field advantage down there. Yeah, they turned some heads the other night. Unfortunately, they have to go into Detroit, but we'll see, man. My favorite player in the NFL, Rashad White, always pulling for him, of course, our guy. But yeah, if I could pick a team to win the Super Bowl just based on my wants, it'd be Tampa.
Yeah, it would be Tampa. I think Tampa has some great friends of the pod and they have a really good story. I like Detroit. It's going to be fun moving into next weekend for sure. The Texans still around, a great story. I think they had their fun. I think it will end with Baltimore and maybe Buffalo is back. They play the Steelers, so the Steelers have a lot of problems. They got a lot of injuries. But what I did like about that game was that Josh Allen was the Josh Allen that we need in these playoffs. I don't have a lot of faith that he's going to continue this. I think Buffalo's pretty fraudulent, but it's going to be a fun game as we have Patrick Mahomes also in a similar situation, trying to really figure it out. Has to be the leader that we know he is. We got the battle. We have the battle of two of the best quarterback leaders in that game. So lots of fun coming down the pipe. Niners still your pick as we wrap up Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make any crazy predictions, and pick the Buccaneers or the Texans to win it all. I mean, when you just look at how the 49ers have played throughout the course of the year, everyone seems to be healthy right now. I don't know how you could go against those guys the way they've been rolling. They're both great on both sides of the ball. It's hard to beat.
CD Lamb, if you are unhappy, we're building a beautiful thing with the Arizona Cardinals. You would look great in red and white. CD Lamb, if you're listening, think about that. All right, let's do 1-star moments of the week, listeners. Every week, we're 1-stars. 1-star things happen. We like to talk about them every week. I have a pretty good one this week. It involves, once again, getting caught doing something embarrassing. I've talked about it before. My dog's a bit of a detective and a master at finding the medicine, the pills that she has to take. She's on a daily pill routine now at this stage in her life, which is fine. And she's supposed to eat them with her food. She is a master. She is the ultimate warrior at eating around pills in her food. So I kicked that. I had to kick that about 6 months ago and find a different way. Over the months, I've kind of figured out a way to hide them in this chicken jerky that she loves. I've talked about this chicken jerky before, but it's really like operating a little bit of surgery to get. It's very thin. It's not easy. It's not like a nice, easy pill packet, which I learned about is something that exists as well. But my 1-star moment is getting caught preparing this wonderful pill package that I've been doing for the last 3 months. Here's what I do. I have to kind of slit open the chicken jerky like a hot pocket to put the medicine in. So this week, as I'm preparing the jerky pills, Kimmy walks into the kitchen and she's flabbergasted to see me putting dog jerky in my mouth, using my front 2 teeth, my 2 front chompers to open the jerky to insert the pill into it. She couldn't believe it. Completely unheard of to see a grown human man putting dog treats in his mouth.
Is that like you need it to hold it in place for a minute? Like you need a third hand, or are you actually eating it?
No, you have 2 options. I can either try to do it with a knife, but it seems to just be easier just to use my front 2 teeth to kind of create that inlet to slide the pill into. So I'm using my front 2 teeth just to create just a small bite. I've perfected it. I'm an expert at it, but I might pull away from it because I was caught and I was actually fully embarrassed to be caught. Who wants to be putting dog treats in their mouth and get caught? I think it's an okay thing to do by yourself, but when you get caught, you're like, maybe that's not a great thing to do. Anyway, apparently that's not an adult move. That's not something adults should do, to put dog treats in your mouth. She even called it a 1-star moment under her breath walking away. She said 1 star as I was walking away.
I love that.
And then I got a text as she was traveling about these greenie pill pockets, which I've seen before, which are probably much easier, and I should give them a try because the dog does like the greenies. So my days of making my own pill pockets with my front 2 teeth probably over.
I love it, man. That's why our wives are in our lives, man, is to make us better, to vault us up a little bit and tell us when we're doing stuff wrong, DK. So yeah, did you got some of those green pill pockets on
Those green
order,
pill
or?
pockets, they're on the list. Yeah, they're on the list. I'm going to pick some of them up. In the meantime, I'm going to use my small little cheese knife to make my pill pockets. And you're not going to catch me putting, because it's not like I'm eating dog treats, but you just put it in your mouth and you just got to do a little spit out and maybe in the sink or in the trash can. It's just not something you want another human to see you doing.
But when you're home by yourself, man, I say go for it. You only live once. It's in the privacy of your own home. Keep going, DK.
You ever
That's all
try?
we
You
need.
ever try dog food or dog treats?
I think I've been dared a lot before. I have actually tasted like a tiny piece of a dog treat, but when you look at the ingredients, man, it's not something you want to be putting into your system.
I think people would be surprised. They're actually, I think they've gotten much better than, the bacon treats or the milk bones. Nowadays, dogs get really good stuff. I mean, I'm not encouraging it, but I'm not saying that it's terrible. I'll just leave it at that.
1-star dog treats, 1 star to 5 star. I had a little bit of an awkward situation with a babysitter, DK. I'm gonna go into this 1 star moment of the week here. We my wife and I don't go out a lot, but we had a date night last week, and we had a new babysitter that we was our first time babysitting the kids. And my wife's kind of been in my head a little bit about my negotiating tactics with rates and everything, because everyone knows that the prices of everything have gone up. I think people at McDonald's out here in California, workers at McDonald's are making like $20 an hour. So you'd figure someone that you're entrusting the lives of your kids with would probably get paid a little more than that. But I'm always awkward about it, about bringing up a price or asking them what they charge and that sort of thing. So we had this babysitter come in having never talked about price, which was a little weird situation because it's like, who knows what's going to happen at the end. So anyway, she watched our kids for 4 hours. I gave her $80 cash at the end of the night, $20 an hour. Our kids were sleeping most of the time. By the way, she only really watched them for about an hour and a half. The rest of the time they're asleep. So you figure that's a pretty good rate, $20, right? It's 2024. The girl's like 20 years old. Anyway, I get a text the next morning from the babysitter. Let me read this text here real quick. Good morning. So sorry to bother you, but my rate is $25 an hour and you gave me $80 for 4 hours. I should have been more clear. Sorry. Could you please Venmo me the $20? My Venmo is, and she gives me her Venmo, or I can totally pick it up if you prefer cash. Thank you. So here I am in a weird situation with this 20-year-old first time babysitter. Anyway, I immediately Venmoed her the $20. I said, my apologies. I should have talked to you about that beforehand, but I don't know, man. It's just such a weird moment, DK, with talking about that stuff. And it goes for having work done on your house too. You got to always be upfront about the price. So lesson learned, 1 star moment. I got dominated in negotiating with a 20-year-old, and I won't let it happen again, DK.
It's a new thing with the kids right now in that generation. It's called standing on your business right there. It's a new thing, new confidence booster with the kiddos out there. Usually for that age group, that would be a pass because they don't want the confrontation. But now these kids are standing on their business, getting what they're worth. $25 an hour seems actually still pretty good, pretty fair, right? That's a fair price nowadays.
I don't know. We had a conversation about this last week, you and I off the podcast. That we're old, man. It's hard to really accept how much things have gone up in price. And honestly, babysitting is one of them. We used to pay 12 to 15 bucks an hour. Now we're looking at 25 or 30. It's crazy. I sound like the old man here, but yeah, it's just a new world out there.
Yeah, you're an old man, man. You're an old man. I feel like this is the old man podcast here to rip. I'm trying to let it rip a little bit more, and all I'm doing is thinking about curmudgeon thoughts and being an old man here. I'm outside of putting dog treats in my mouth. We're just slowly wrinkling up here, bro. We got to keep it young, keep it fresh. I need some more 500 level T-shirts so people don't think that I'm just some old curmudgeon.
I got that Ryan Sandberg. Wear that thing around Kauai, and you'll be the toast of the town out there.
1 star. You gonna keep her as a babysitter? Or is she off the roster?
I don't know. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, there's other things that went on that, she wasn't a 5 star. I'll tell you that much. But we'll see, man. We'll see how much we need a babysitter at some point in the future, or we'll have to maybe look at other options that charge maybe $20.
It's tough to find good sitters, bro. You got to pay up for quality. That's the name of the game. It's like a football team. If you're gonna jam your babysitter group, you got to have starters and you got to pay your starters. If you want to have your backups, you also got to pay your backups. But, it's tough, bro. Salary capped out. No more than $100 probably a night.
She's like the Gardner Minshew of babysitters, backup quarterback. You might go out there and throw 4 interceptions and might come in and throw 3 touchdowns. You just never know what you're getting. So you gotta pay up sometimes, or sometimes you gotta shortchange, or who knows? I don't know what the hell's going on here, DK.
Sweet Lordy, sweet Lord. Let's get to our Rex, man. Recommendations of the week, something that made us feel good. We got our 1-star moments. What's our 1-star Rex? What do you got?
Yeah, DK. So yeah, let's talk about some positivity, turn some negativity into some positivity. I don't know how many people have experience with this store. I know it's been about 30 years since you played Little League, but the prices out there are crazy. You just mentioned I'm a value guy. Some of these baseball bats cost like $300, $400 now. There's no need to be spending that kind of money. You just have to go to a store called Play It Again Sports. Are you familiar with that, DK?
Oh yeah.
Little League starts here in a couple weeks. You go to Play It Again Sports. You got used bats, used gloves. It's like a buy sell trade. It's like a GameStop for sports equipment. So that's one of our regular trips, weekend trips, always this time of year now with both my kids in Little League is Play It Again Sports. I believe they're nationwide. So don't go out there and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on sports equipment when you can. I got a bat the other day for $15 for my kid, and it's almost brand new. I got some Bryce Harper Under Armour cleats for like $15.
Nice.
It's the place to be.
Yeah, I think that's something you can network to in your neighborhood for families who have older kids, because they always have the stuff. If you got to borrow it for a season or whatnot, save a little money. Value guy, big value guy rip over here. I'll give you a value guy recommendation on my end. Next time you're at Costco, do yourself a favor, grab the Chinese chicken salad. It's amazing.
I've had that before.
You've had it. You know, it's great. You actually get, it's 2 portions. So you get two Chinese chicken salad lunches or dinners or whatever. We actually only have a house of 2. So we break it into 4. So you get 4 different meals out of this. Comes with a easy to make it kit. Only thing, reminder, you have to get your own lettuce. Does not come with lettuce. So we decided to go with spinach, baby spinach. Maybe a spring mix would be good, or baby arugula even, but we do baby spinach. It's just a great salad. You mix it up. It comes with the dressing, comes with some little nuts. Maybe you got to be careful of those nuts, Rev. We don't want you having any allergies. And then a little bit of the best part, the dressing and the wontons, the little wonton crunchies that you get with it. So it's 5 stars. You want to do a addition, the upgrade, I recommend stepping it up a little bit. While you're at Costco, grab a rotisserie chicken. Instead of using the chicken that comes with it, the pre-made processed chicken, which is still fine, still pretty good, you can shred a little fresh rotisserie chicken, and then you're really kind of a gourmet.
Are those $4.99 out there on the island as well? Is that a nationwide thing? $4.99 rotisserie chicken?
$4.99, man, $4.99, and I've been using that shredded chicken. I'll tell you, if you get yourself a little Amy soup one of these days. I don't care. Pick a flavor. Shred some chicken, put it in there. Boom. We just add a protein to soup. Working miracles over here with this rotisserie chicken. You want to shred a little chicken, throw it in a bowl, mix it with some jalapenos and some cream cheese and make some enchiladas, some spinach. Boom. Rotisserie chicken. It's really the key to success. You get caught eating dog treats in your kitchen and you're embarrassed about that, so you want to put a little pill in some rotisserie chicken. Guess who's not turning down rotisserie chicken? Dogs. Ever. No dog will turn down a rotisserie chicken.
You might have some diarrhea or barf to clean up if you go down that road. You really are a Costco lifer, DK. You had your membership like 3 months ago, and every other recommendation of the week now involves Costco. You get a $1.50 hot dog on the way out the door, or what?
It's new for me, so I'm still excited by all of it. In fact, my last trip we left, and I avoided the line. It was about 20 deep, too long. That's 2 hours of my life that I'm not going to wait in line for a chicken bake. Although I thought about it. I'm getting better, but it's still this is like a whole new thing for me. This is a whole new world, and you got to learn lessons like anything in life. The Costco rules of the game. You got to learn how to move. You got to learn how to operate. I went to get a couple things, including a new Oral-B toothbrush replacement heads, and I only made one bad purchase. I bought a pair of Bose headphones. I had to go return. So I'm still learning, bro. But in the meantime, I'm learning the gems. And the gems are as followed. What I thought was beef jerky, and the OG Costco people will know this. It's not. That's too much beef jerky. You don't want 2 bags. It's just too much beef jerky in general. The real gems are the things like the Chinese chicken salad. So there you go.
We might have to rename this podcast the Old Man Boomer Podcast, DK. This is getting out of control.
Oh,
thank God we're back with guests this week. I might be replacing a toilet this week by myself, DIY. Have you ever replaced a toilet, DK? We might have a real 1-star moment coming next week.
Nope, definitely not. Definitely that's a call. Definitely that's a plumber job, Rip. You do not. We go back about 6 episodes. You'll hear about, feces water in your bathroom, Rip. You're gonna probably walk into that. Man, give us 5 stars. We gotta
we need the help.
I feel like this is one of our podcast, Rip, where we just really like ran into the wall of becoming old, boring dudes. So I'm gonna make a promise to you this week too to do something exciting. You're doing a toilet. I'm gonna do something exciting. So
Go to a club, hang out with some 18-year-olds, DK.
I might drink a LaCroix Club soda. That's about as far as it's gonna go. We'll see though. Stay tuned. In the meantime, let's react, bro. Hit the music. Rip's reactions. Rip, the Houthis continue targeting ships in the Red Sea. You are a ship. You are a seaman, and a pirate jumps to your left. Boom, on your ship. What's your first move? You doing a punch, a kick, a run?
I'm a seaman, DK. I am a seaman. I'm gonna dive into the ocean because true seamen know how to swim.
You're not gonna dive in the ocean.
I'm gonna dive in the ocean. I can't stand an attack. I can't withstand an attack from a pirate. I'm gonna.
Would you do a punch or a kick before the jump, or just immediately overboard?
Immediately overboard. I'm gonna hold my. I've been known to hold my breath for about 90 seconds. So I'm going under the boat to the other side, coming up, and the pirate will have no idea what happened. But then, what happens after that, I'll probably die. But I got a good 90 seconds of tricking this pirate.
The Houthis have won in the battle of Rip. The Houthis have fully taken it. Everybody's heard about this Alaskan airline flight that's been messing up all the airlines when the door popped off, or the door plug, they call it, the door plug, whatever that is. I think it's the door when you sit in the aisle and they ask you if you can open the door, and you kind of say yes no matter what because you just want a little bit more legroom. That popped off in the middle of the flight. Everybody's seen it. Scary shit, but everybody looked fairly calm. Door pops off in the airplane, Rip. You're not sitting in the row, but you're about 3 rows over. You got your kids with you. What's your move? You cover your kids. Tell them, what's your move? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm counting my blessings. I'm smothering the kids. I'm holding them close, as tight as possible. I really don't understand how these people weren't sucked out. I mean, I have to reevaluate. I love window seats. I'm a window seat guy. I'm gonna have to reevaluate though. At this point, the further away from a window you are, the better, I think.
Sweet Lord. Snow was really bad for football this weekend. The Buffalo Bills, as they have done in years past, put a bebop alert out for fans to come help shovel snow at the stadium. I mean, you got to be hardcore to go support your team like that. Rip, have you ever shoveled snow?
I have. I've shoveled snow back in Pennsylvania, probably for no more than like 3 minutes, and I think I did it in Big Bear once, probably for no more than like 90 seconds, just to move the car out of the driveway a little bit. But yeah, I'm not a snow guy. Clearly, that's why I live in California, and I don't anticipate shoveling snow anytime soon.
Last one, the Bear dominated the Emmys. Story about a restaurant going from a beef shop to a 5-star restaurant with all the craziness that is of being a restaurateur and a chef. Rip, you pop open a restaurant in Long Beach. What's the name and what kind of food you serving?
This is a 1-star idea, DK, but it's called Bald Burger. I got the Mr. Clean Guy logo. Bald Burger means no toppings. It's a new thing, but it's an extremely healthy Wagyu grass-fed burger. You don't need anything on it. You just need to taste the pure deliciousness of the meat off the grill. So it's called Bald Burger. There's no toppings, just a bun and a burger. It'll probably go out of business. Yeah, probably go out of business within 30 days, but that's my 1-star idea.
I think you're onto something. You can partner with Mark Zuckerberg. He's growing cattle that is only eating macadamia nuts and macadamia milk. Rip, supposedly the new Wagyu of the Americas. He's doing that on the island of Kauai. Bald burgers, not bad.
In a world where people want more toppings and more sauces, when they zig, I zag, DK. I go naked. I go no toppings at all. So let's see how it goes.
I like that. I think I'd bring back a rotisserie chicken restaurant of my past from a place that I once went to in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. It was called Chicken Out. Any listeners ever heard of Chicken Out? I would do a place called DK's Chicken, and I would do rotisserie chicken with excellent different kinds of potato salad. 6 kinds of potato salad and rotisserie chicken. God, we should get in the restaurant business because podcasting is just... This was a 1-star podcast, Rip, I think, because we are ready for action this week. This week, we're bringing action of life to come back full of stories and hilarity.
Maybe a trip to Buffalo's will save us, DK. I think they got probably 10 kinds of potato salad over there with any wing you can imagine. Bloomington, Indiana, free ads, Buffalo's 812. Let's go.
I need some wings, maybe. We'll see you next week. 5 stars. Thank you.
See you next week.